Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. Steven here with Team Euphoric, and this is day 17 of the 80 Days to Your Dream Body course. Today's protein source is going to be sardines, and today is a chest training workout. And the theme for today's workout is assisted PNF stretching. So right now, I'm going to be demonstrating how to perform contract relax PNF stretching. Now let's get started. And while we're resting, let's continue with the PNF stretching. Up until now, all of the stretches that we were doing were focusing on the deep compartment of the hip because the knee was flexed. Now we're going to start getting more into some superficial fibers, and we're going to focus on the knee flexors by taking them into extension. Whenever the knee is straight, what happens is we create more myofascial tension, so it's more of a superficial stretch. And when we are focusing on the knee flexors, we want to take the hip into flexion and the knee into extension. So right now we're going to have the knee straight. There's a couple different options with regard to the hand positions. My preferred method, this is great if you have a very, very heavy athlete. I work with a lot of pro athletes that are quite heavy. So to use as minimal strain as possible, what I like to do is just kind of anchor myself onto the table and I will just lean into it. But for this first one, we want to just go straight up. So we're taking them straight into flexion. If you feel a little bit more comfortable, you could place one hand at the femur, but the principle is the same. What we would do is we would lift up, take them into flexion, and then they would inhale, push the foot down into our hand, and then we would exhale, lift up, get them deeper into flexion. If you prefer the other way, one hand at the distal femur, and what you would do is let me just get his hip in place. What we would do is we would stabilize at the distal femur, and then with the opposite arm, we would just push, and then we would press down here and press up with this one right over here. So we would lift them up, they would inhale, push the ankle down into the hand, and then exhale, you would lift up and then get them deeper into the stretch. Play around with the different positions, see which one you prefer. But when we are stretching the knee flexors in the straight position, just going straight up into flexion, what happens is we are primarily going to be targeting the semitendinosus because that is the middle fiber in the hamstrings group. Remember, semimembranosus is medial, tendinosus is middle, biceps femoris is on the lateral aspect. But we are still going to be targeting the semimembranosus and biceps femoris as well. Both heads, the long and short head of the biceps femoris. We're also going to be targeting both the medial head and the lateral head of the gastrocnemius, and we're also going to be getting the sartorius. Some other muscles that are going to be getting stretched is going to be the popliteus, and to some extent, we're going to be getting a little bit of the gracilis and a little bit of the plantaris, but those are going to be pretty weak knee flexors. Next, what we want to do is we are going to abduct the thigh to 30 degrees the same way that we did with the glute stretch. So same thing though, we're still working on the knee flexors, only this time we're taking them out to a 30-degree angle, and the hand position is the same. You could just go underneath, take them out 30 degrees, you would lift, lean, they would inhale, push into you, and then exhale, lift, get deeper into the stretch. If you prefer, you could stabilize at the distal femur, and then your moving hand, you could place it at the calcaneus or the Achilles, and then you would pull out. You would take them into a stretch at a 30-degree angle. You're taking them into flexion at a 30-degree angle. They would inhale, push the heel down into your hand, and then on the exhale, lift, lean out, get them deeper into the stretch. When we are focusing on the extensors and when we are doing flexion at 30 degrees, we are still targeting the same muscles, but the emphasis is going to shift. We're still targeting the semitendinosus, but now, as we start going more into abduction, we're going to be getting a little bit more of the semimembranosus. So we're shifting the emphasis a little bit more. And we're still getting both heads of the biceps femoris, both the long and short head. We're also getting both heads of the gastrocnemius, the lateral head and the medial head. However, because we're taking them into abduction, we are getting a little bit more of the medial head of the gastrocnemius, and we're still getting the sartorius as well. And then with regard to some secondary muscles that are going to be involved, we're still going to be stretching the popliteus, and to a lesser extent, we're going to be getting a little bit of the gracilis and the plantaris. But our rest period is up. Time for set number 6. That was just a tiny taste of what can be found in my members only section. If you enjoyed it, become a member for only $5 a month to get access to hundreds of member only videos.